The surging presidential campaign of former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is taking some hits for his role in the early release of a convicted rapist in 1996. That release resulted in at least one death and strong opposition from the victims' loved ones. As governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee pushed for the parole of convicted rapist Wayne Dumond, despite warnings that the man would likely strike again if released. Dumond was paroled from an Arkansas prison in 1999. He moved to Missouri, where he later raped and murdered 39-year-old Carol Sue Shields. Dumond was convicted of Shields' murder and sentenced to life in prison. In an exclusive interview yesterday, Shields' mother told me Huckabee's role in releasing Dumond makes him unsuitable for the presidency.
I don't think he did enough background research on Wayne Dumond's life, and if he didn't do that kind of research, I don't think he is going to be good for the country.
On the campaign trail, Huckabee has said that he supported Dumond's release because he had no reason to believe the man constituted a future threat. Just last week, Huckabee told CNN, "None of us could have predicted what Dumond could have done when he got out." But in a letter just released, one of Dumond's victims warned, "I feel that if he is released, it is only a matter of time before he commits another crime and fear that he will not leave a witness to testify against him the next time." Katie Couric asked Huckabee what his greatest mistake was.
I've made a lot of mistakes sometimes, particularly in maybe giving people too much benefit of the doubt, keeping people in positions that should have been let go. And sometimes you pay a big price for that.
Mike Huckabee joins us now from Little Rock, Arkansas. Governor, good morning.
Good morning, Harry.
I want to talk about this character, Wayne Dumond.
Sure.
The guy goes to prison. He becomes a kind of a cause celeb back in the day. There were Republicans, very conservative Republicans there who said the only reason this guy's in prison is because he was convicted of this crime against a woman who was a relation to Bill Clinton. You're aware of all of that noise down there.
Oh, aware of every bit of it. And this is one of those tragic cases that as you look back, your heart's broken, especially for these families. And I don't blame that mother for being angry, and don't even blame her for being angry at me because I'm the only face of this that she sees or knows. But it was Bill Clinton and Jim Guy Tucker who actually commuted Mr. Dumond's sentence, making him parole eligible. What I actually did, Harry, was deny his second commutation request, denied 3 others. He was released because he was parole eligible, and in Arkansas law, governors can neither initiate parole nor can they stop a parole.
Did you make your, well, let me ask you this first. Did you believe he could have been innocent, and did you believe he should have been paroled?
It wasn't so much his innocence, but it was the sentence and the fact that while he was awaiting trial, someone broke into his home, they hogtied him, they castrated him, they left him for dead. His 2 young sons came home from school, found him in a pool of blood. His testicles were placed on a jar on the sheriff's desk in the Forest City, Arkansas Sheriff's Department. It was a horrible case from start to finish for everybody, for the victims, for him. He received a very harsh sentence, harsh enough that my predecessor, Jim Guy Tucker, in concert with Bill Clinton, who was actually governor at the time, reduced his sentence. That's what made him parole eligible. I considered, because it was on my desk when I became governor, a further commutation, but ended up deciding against it. So I denied it. But it happened, his parole, while I was governor, even though by law governors can't parole anybody.
But you did send him a letter, and in the letter, what did it say?
The letter said that I support your release from prison. That's the part that gets quoted. The part that doesn't get quoted is, but I deny your commutation request. It was a letter of denial of his commutation. And Harry, even after that, when he was parole eligible, it was years later when the parole board finally decided to do it. And that parole board that originally asked me to meet with them was a parole board made up entirely of people appointed by Bill Clinton or Jim Guy Tucker.
And did you at any point try to influence this parole board? Because at least several members say they felt pressure from you to commute this guy's sentence.
Well, they did say that, Harry, 6 years after this meeting that they requested. And that was 3 of the 7 members who said it, all of whom I did not reappoint to their $75,000 a year jobs. Interesting that it took them 6 years to come forth and say it. After they lost their jobs, and during the middle of an election year in which my opponent in that election made clemencies the primary focus of her campaign. It's a horrible story. And you know the real tragedy, Harry? The real tragedy is there are some families that are hurting and grieving, and some now are wanting to exploit them for political purposes. For American politics to be reduced to the exploitations of crime victims and to reach into their grief and to try to make them the centerpiece, it's really the worst politics of all.
One thing I also need to know, though, there apparently were letters sent to your office from other victims of demands who said, please do not let this guy out of prison. Were you aware of those letters? Did you read those letters?
Oh, absolutely. There weren't a lot of letters. There was one visit from the victim in Forest City. There was a letter from another lady in Arkansas. And that was one of the reasons that I didn't end up commuting that sentence, Harry. It was the influence of the fact that there was just doubts about him getting out without supervision. I just didn't feel comfortable with that.
And in the end, could you have stopped it?
I could not have. Legally, I could not stop his parole. Governors can't do that. They can't start it. They can't stop it. And if one understands the basic essence, for a governor to add to a person's sentence would be double jeopardy. The separation of powers makes it so that once the case has been adjudicated, a governor can reduce a sentence, but a governor cannot add to it, and stopping a parole would actually be adding to a sentence.
Governor Huckabee, we do thank you for your time this morning. Do appreciate it.
Thank you, Harry. I appreciate it.
You bet.